want to do a Q&A and just kind of answer any questions that may have come in. So I've gotten some good questions, so we'll talk about them. Hi to everybody in the app. Alice, Hannah, Jess, Kim, and good to see you guys. And so, okay, so let's talk a little bit about the questions. Kasha says, how is the warehouse team doing? Yeah, that's a good question. Warehouse team is doing well. We've had time to recover. I say we because I spent time in the warehouse. This summer was insane. What a blessing we had to have so many new families joining the homeschool movement. And yeah, it was a little painful with a lot of new questions and just, you know, people trying to find their way. But we are so excited because more and more we hear such good things about families who have chosen to homeschool. And families who didn't even really have a background in faith that are really getting excited about their Creator. And so that's really exciting for us as a company because our mission statement is ink on paper to impact eternity. So we're excited about that. So, all right, so the warehouse has had time to recover and get ready for our next big event. And yeah, so that'll be fun. Okay, and then Kasha also asks, how is Kristen? Kristen is doing great. The Lord has been very good to our family. If you're new to Master Books, let me give you a quick background. My name is Randy Pratt. I am the Vice President of Marketing here at the Press. And my wife, Kristen, is a curriculum development editor. She started working with the Press in about 2012. I started in 2015. And about 2 years ago, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And so we felt the Lord say that we were to kind of make it public to this group of people. We've been part of homeschooling and homeschool group for a lot of years, and we hold very dear this group, and we also know the commitment and the spiritual depth that the families that are part of homeschooling have. And so we felt that the Lord really almost from the mandate where Elijah had said, pour water on the sacrifice and ask the Lord to move. And so we did that, and we had so many families praying and supporting. And some of the coolest testimonies, if you don't know, Kristen also wrote the Language Lessons for a Living Education. And we would have families that would report to us and say, hey, every time my children pull out one of the books, we stop and say a prayer and just ask the Lord for provision. He did. And you know, she went through the journey of chemo and radiation, but the last report was a great report and such a blessing. And so she's doing well. If you've ever been, the cancer journey is not a fun journey by any means. And it certainly opens your eyes when you've had to walk it to have a lot more empathy for people that are. But when you come out of chemo, it just takes a while for your body, for your brain, for everything to kind of get back to normal. But we couldn't be more thankful for the miracle that the Lord did and for the families that took it seriously to ask the Lord to move. And so when we asked him to move, he moved. And that is the biggest testimony. Why is that so important? Because we serve a living God, the Creator. And we want our children, your children are children of purpose. Your children have a calling on their life. If you're homeschooling your children, it's not by accident. The fact that maybe you've been even forced into schooling, it's not by accident. You are raising world changers. And the significance of this generation is so important. And they need to understand that they serve a living God, that even when they're encountering forces that seem much greater than their own, that most would quiver to, that our children understand that it's because of the God they serve and the fact that he still hears their prayers and answers their prayers, that they can step boldly into the arena and confront what needs to be confronted in culture for the name and the gospel of Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's, let me see. I'm trying to keep track of everything. Usually I got Brittany going too. So everybody in Facebook, we got Rick and Anna, Carrie, Paola, Mimi, and Crystal. So good to have you guys join. Okay, Next question, Hannah asked, will there be a big sale in December? Most likely, yes. Hasn't been announced. I can't give any details. Just keep an eye on your email and social media feeds towards the end of this month. Okay? How many weeks does the elementary zoology take? There's another question she asked. Considering it for a summer course. The zoology is a full 1-year course, so it's 36 weeks. So it takes 36 weeks, but you could certainly break it up into chunks if you wanted to and do certain components of it over a shorter time span. Okay. Let's see. Carrie Bear asks, can you talk about the elementary Bible course that's in the planning? The Bible course that's in the planning is Where Faith Grows. It goes along with our tagline. It is being written by Jessica McCullough, who works with us and is a homeschooling mom herself. The curriculum, it's going to be designed more as a level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that there will be one put out for each grade level. In her words, I can tell you, this is what she says. Where Faith Grows, level 1 will be easy when it comes to book work, but the content is rich. The focus is who is God and how we are to live in response to that through his power, as opposed to the idea of being good for good's sake. There are constant reminders throughout the course that the Bible is truth, and it is where we go to learn about God. There are Bible stories that are woven in the lessons, and many games, activities, and a list of extension ideas for each lesson to take the learning further. The children will be applying what they have learned in the real world, what they are learning in the real world as you, the parent, are discipling them. There are discussion prompts at times for the parent to talk about their own life and to share with their children about their personal relationship with God. While it may be considered easy, I think children will grow by working through the course. I even believe parents will grow alongside their children because of the focus on God's Word. The Word never returns void. It is sharper than a two-edged sword, and it always accomplishes what it was set out to do. And so that series in the works would be pretty much 1st through 6th. And that's kind of the early prelim on it. It should be in the catalog for spring. We're working on that catalog right now. Yay! And it's always fun to put together the catalog because that's where we kind of make a commitment to what products we're really trying to move forward. And, circumstances change, like 2020. You just never know what's going to happen. But it has been fun to do that. So, let's see. Heather Garthus asks, we have Writing Strands Advanced 1. What else do we need with it? What I would recommend you get is the Teaching Companion. You can even buy the digital Teaching Companion if you didn't already buy it. And I think that will help you understand the course. There also, if you do a search for Writing Strands in the Mom's Master Books, or even if you do Dave Mark's Writing Strands in YouTube, you're going to find a video of the author who gives kind of the heart behind the course, why it's set up the way it is, why it's structured the way it is. Doesn't focus as heavy on grammar, more of a grammar as you go, applied approach. The more research I do in educational excellence, the more I see you start with the big picture first and then begin going into the details. And that holistic approach is something that I think is so effective. It's why sometimes people will look at Master Books and say, but it feels so maybe it's easier than Curriculum B. But it's because Curriculum B is trying to teach all the pieces without the child understanding how they all go together first. How do you put a puzzle together? Can you imagine putting a puzzle together by just dumping it out, not seeing the picture, throw the box away? We're not even going to look at the box, we're just throwing the pieces. That's the way a lot of curriculum teaches. We start looking at American history by just broadly trying to piece together dates and people, and we don't understand what the picture looks like. and we want to be able to look at the picture, so then we can start taking these puzzle pieces and putting them together. And so with writing strands, it's built on that type of concept where we're writing and learning to write, communicate, and to read effectively for proper communication. Desiree says, that is such a great analogy. I agree. Sometimes I amaze myself, Desiree. I say that jokingly, sort of. Okay. Judith says, does my child need writing strands and language lessons? Some people do both, and that's okay. If you do, you don't need to. And so that's something that my preference would be start with language lessons for a living education. There's a couple reasons. Language lessons for a living education, again, is the puzzle box concept. You're learning to use the whole brain. You're learning to do critical thinking. You're learning to be creative in your writing and not just the grammar. And so it builds holistically a child's brain for language and speech. And then it would make it easier to move into writing strands because you have that solid foundation. So that's what I would recommend versus trying to combine both. But some people like that because they want more writing alongside. It's okay. Just, you know, you're the carpenter. Curriculum is the tool. Use the tools that you think need to be. Okay. I'm seeing, Jessica weighed in the Facebook group that the easy comments were in reference to using level 1 by combining students, specifically 1st and 3rd grade. I think you're right, Jessica. I think that was part of it. I just grabbed that and should have noted it. So it's appropriate for level 1. Carrie, in regards to your question, we're starting with level 1 and then building on it from there. So, but Jessica's a beast when it comes to writing. So she's going to write, she'll have it written in no time. I'm committing Jessica publicly to have the entire series written in no time. Okay. Isla says, we are first-time homeschoolers and agree that not only my children are learning about God, but my faith has also grown. What a blessing to open my heart in that way, and I thank you for that. Yes, you don't know how much that means to us. We've been so blessed over the years by the blessing of homeschooling. Our kids are our best friends, and we all grew up together. I'm still growing up with my younger set. They surpass me. About age 12, 13, they begin to surpass me. But still, spiritually, we've grown up together. As I grow, they grow, and I'm challenged by them all the time. And so, such a cool thing to be able to homeschool. But I remember the first homeschool convention where I was really challenged by some other men in the homeschool movement, and where it just started to stir in me an important. If I was going to lead my family well, I had to get on the ball. Like, I was being led by my family. You know, the necessities of life were leading me, and I was being led by my family. I was not leading my family. And so that transition into, no, I'm going to lead my family spiritually, and is an awesome thing. So I don't even know how I ended up there. So, okay, let's see. All right, so Jessica is putting in menu requests in Facebook. She would like soda, Coke over coffee, and chocolate, or I think she likes like tacos over some things as well. So as a family who had a wife that was writing all the time, I can tell you that prepared meals are really good too. So, okay, so let's go over to the app. We have... let's see, Jay Ayala says, what is the best strategy to make science engaging and fun using physical world? Well, I think enjoying the experiments, and this is one where, and I'd say this broadly because I don't know the situation in your home, but I do think that we have to we have to be excited about the topics too. If I'm frustrated because I got to help my kids do school and it's just one more thing to check off the list, they're going to follow what I lead. I get what I lead. That's like the most important thing I can say. If you want your children to enjoy school, you have to enjoy school. It's not just that you want them to enjoy school, it's that you also enjoy the journey and they'll learn from you in that. And not every lesson's going to be that way, but there may be places where your enthusiasm and your excitement about what you're learning, or your enthusiasm about their excitement, make a big deal and reward the behavior you want. To just hand a student a book and say, well, boy, I hope you're excited, this should make you excited, probably isn't going to happen, right? Think about it in any situation. The speaker, the enthusiasm, the emotion, the empathy, the sincerity, everything that they bring into the conversation is what you feed off from. God wired us so that we have mirror neurons in our brains that will respond accordingly. If I'm calm and at peace, they'll respond calm and in peace. If I'm excited, enthusiastic, and I have to be genuine and sincere in that, that helps them. And if I'm frustrated because I'm stressed and there's a lot in life and now I got to do a stinking experiment and we got to go down to the store and buy styrofoam and you know, a glass prism or whatever, and it's just one more thing I got to do because now the baby is thrusting and everything else, our children also will begin to respond that way because they're sensitive to that. And so we just have to be mindful of that. Another thing that we do is we continually remind them that everything they're learning is helpful, because why do we do science? To learn about the world around us. As we learn about God's creation and how marvelous it is, and we learn about His character through His creation, we also become more mature in navigating the world. Okay. So that would be a couple of things that I would suggest. Sometimes curriculums don't work as well for some parents or some students, and so maybe you adapt it and change some things, but growth hack it. And growth hack it basically means just try a little bit, experiment a little bit, see what works. You know, sometimes just reading a paragraph and answering questions doesn't work for every kid. It doesn't engage them. Read it and then talk about it. Let them, you know, what we just read. Think about it. Where have we seen this before, right? When we do an experiment, where have we seen this before? Or what have we learned? Or can we show it to a grandparent? Even set it up. If you have a grandparent who's willing, or a friend or somebody else who's willing, and say, here's what I want you to do. We're going to do an experiment, and I want you to make a big deal about it. Like, oh my goodness, that's cool, right? Just get them excited so that the student begins to see the excitement about it as well. So, you know, the brain is so amazing when it comes time for us to learn, and that's important. So, okay. I see in the Facebook group we've gone off in a whole conversation of tacos and all of that. So, that's good. Okay. Let's see what other questions we've got. If you have any questions and I see them, I definitely will try to cover it. Are there any new curriculum books to look forward to? Will there ever be a Canadian history? Canadian history, we have some Canadian books. When we bought, my mind's gone blank, Child's Geography and that whole series, there was some Canadian books available with that as well, but that probably will be a ways out before those products are developed, and they're not, I think they were more like, they weren't comprehensive history books. So I'm not going to commit to a Canadian history just because I know we have so many years ahead of us still of filling in the holes with the products that we have. Curriculum books that are looking forward to, and I think this is another question, the Let's Talk Science 3. Yes. Aniston asked, any updates on Let's Talk Science 3? Release date, love the series, done 1, working through 2. Aniston and M. Vanderloo, it is scheduled to come out in the spring. It's going to be in the catalog. It is Let's Talk, or Adventures in Planet Earth. So it'll be more of a earth science type course, and a lot of the same look and feel of the others, except more mature for a third grade student. So yeah, we're excited about that coming out. There's some courses coming out in the Academy that I'm really excited about. And if you've never done applied engineering, well, let me back up. The Master Books Academy is like a supplemental course to our courses. We want to see families succeed, so we give you a course, Simply K. I gave you Simply K. Okay. Believe it or not, one of the most intimidating courses to teach in homeschooling, all of homeschooling, is kindergarten, right? That seems to be one of the most intimidating courses. So we have a Simply K book, and parents start using it, but they're a little bit unsure of themselves because this is their first time. So Carrie Bailey created a course at masterbooksacademy.com for Simply K. I think it costs like $49 for the year, which is less than $1.60 a week, to actually have somebody who has experience in the kindergarten classroom alongside you explaining how to do each lesson, reading the stories, and just being a benefit to you. Principles of Mathematics. Kate Lupanen has done the same thing. She created courses for Principles of Mathematics 1, Principles of Mathematics 2. And so they're just enough. It's like that little extra supplement when you need extra help. And so a couple of the courses, so we're updating the platform a little bit, but coming online in the next week or two, we have Applied Engineering. Brian Young, who goes to conventions for us, he is also a creation speaker. He has a he has a bus that he converted into a mobile creation museum. That's awesome. And so when COVID hit, we're like, Brian, if you're not doing speaking engagements, would you do some of our science? Because he was actually a science teacher who went to be a creation evangelist, and I thought that'd be perfect. And so the first one he's done is the Applied Engineering course, which is great for a 7th to 9th grader. And I think his videos are awesome, and I'm excited by that because that's going to be going live as well. Another one that's coming online is Algebra. So Jacob's Algebra is a course that's been around for 30 plus years, and excellent. We have high accolades on that. We sell it to charter schools and the like, but it can be difficult. And one of the things that we felt was lacking from that was the biblical worldview that students got in Principles of Math 1 and Principles of Math 2. Well, Kate Loop said, can I do it? Can I continue? I'll use the Jacobs book, and I'll teach algebra from Jacobs, but I'll bring the biblical worldview, which is so important in math, into the course. And so that course is about to go live. And I couldn't be more excited about that either, because if you've done Principles of Math 1 and 2 and you've read the beginning of the book where you learn that math is the language that God uses to bring order to the universe, and as we learn about math and we discover the consistent nature of the Creator and His laws and how we are not here by time and chance, but we realize that when God says in His Word this, it's as consistent as 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's the Word of God. It has that level of consistency. The laws of mathematics that we come to depend on that govern the universe, that same consistency is what we find in Scripture. When you begin to really internalize that and understand that and believe that, oh my goodness, your faith comes alive, because it's like, well, I can believe 2 plus 2 equals 4. I've got that. But can I believe that for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish but have everlasting life? It's the same person who wrote the law, 2 plus 2 equals 4. It's the same person who inspired the words, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. So that's really exciting. So the Academy, I know there's summer. King is doing the world history, and that course is going to be coming online soon. Very excited about that. I know Angela Odell has been working on some math and American story that'll be coming on. So the Academy courses, to me, are kind of my excitement, just because I think that there's so much, the friction points that some of the courses may have, it'll just help remove those friction points. So So that's exciting. The Algebra 2 has become a huge endeavor, and it's taking a lot longer than we had anticipated, but in the end, I think it's going to be phenomenal. And that was written by Kate Lupanen, and she already has done the course, the video course for that as well. So that'll be going up in the Academy when that comes out. We have a couple of other courses that are like Academy-only courses, but have a teacher guide. Those will be in the new catalog. There's some other, I think there's a handwriting course that's going to be in the 2 levels of handwriting, maybe 1 level in the catalog to begin with. I'm in the process of putting it all together, so I don't have it yet, but you guys know that I can't keep a secret. And so as soon as I have a catalog that I can show you, even when it looks like a rough draft, you guys always get the sneak peeks. So as soon as I know anything more, I will be sure to let you know. Let's see, is there an update on the Kate's algebra videos in the Academy? Laura asked. Yeah, Laura, we're just updating the platform. I'm working with Brittany to update the platform, and hopefully this week we're really making some progress with it. We should be able to activate that and go live with that course pretty quickly. Okay. Vicky asks, how do you make copy work fun? Well, I think again you have to understand copy work. Copy work as rigorous activity is pointless, right? I mean, that's like painting a wall 100 times. What good is it? What we need to understand is, why are we doing copy work? Copy work is essential to brain development. When I have a sentence, for God so loved the world, and I've got a copy of that sentence over here, think of all the components that are happening in the brain. I have to look at it, memorize a couple words, come over here, use motor skills, take what I remembered and write it down. Some students get really frustrated because they haven't developed the short-term memory skills that it takes to look and say, for God so loved. For God so loved. So maybe they're doing F, O, R, right? That's frustrating, because when you have a sentence and you have a lot of copy work and you're building those skills, it's frustrating. So maybe if your student hasn't developed those skills yet, the copy work is 1 letter at a time as opposed to words at a time, then maybe just cut it down. Just cross off some of the words and say, all we're going to do is the first half of the sentence. What we're doing is, we do that, we're learning, because we're seeing it, we're committing it to memory, then we're writing it, so we're learning. But think of it like when we talk to our children, it's like weightlifting. You can't grab 200 pounds immediately and just start lifting. I mean, maybe you can, but most people can't. So what do? We start out with smaller weights, and we build those, and we build those, and then once we build them, we move up to heavier weights. Well, copy work is almost like weightlifting or exercise. We start out with what we can do, 1 letter at a time, then we try to remember words. Can you remember 1 word at a time, or 2 words at a time? For God. Don't worry about the whole sentence, just do for God, and then we write for God, and begin building those skills. There's so much happening with copy work, and sometimes as parents we look at it and we're like, oh, copy work, that's just pointless, right? Twaddle. It's not. It has value to it because it's helping develop the brain. So, and it helps in so many ways. So hopefully that's helpful, because sometimes I see copy work is really misunderstood and thought of as just, they didn't know what else to do, so they tell us copy the paragraph. No. And as far as, I mean, there are other people I'm sure that explain it, but I think that with Master Books, it's appropriate in the way that it's used, because it's like in language lessons for a living education, where copy work is used. It's in combination with other brain skills that are also being used, like picture interpretations and psalm writing and things like that, the creative aspects, because we're building the entire brain. So again, think of bodybuilding or weightlifting. If we just sit there and do this all day, we'll have a huge bicep and we'll look kind of goofy because we haven't developed the whole body. Same with the brain. We want to develop the whole brain. Okay, let's see. I don't have Brittany to bring me back to reality. So if I'm going off on tangents, I'm sorry. Is it true that you're changing up your elementary zoology? Crystal says. Yes, Crystal. We are. That is one of our best-selling courses. So we're colorizing the teacher guide and making the questions a little bit more diverse in that there's some additional formatting, like more fun. And then we're dropping the dinosaur activity book from that package, and we're putting in God's awesome creatures. The devotional will be part of that series because it fits a little better with that course. I believe in the future we're looking at doing a paleontology dinosaur course. The leaders in creation-based dinosaurs is Master Books. We've got books for every level on dinosaurs being part of God's creation, being on the ark. I mean, everything, even being with people into recent years, described as dragons and the legends of dragons and the lore. So we have the best materials to actually put together an elementary course for dinosaurs. And so that's something that is in the works that we're looking at. I'm hoping it'll be in the catalog, the spring catalog, as an elementary course, so that you would do the zoology and then you could do a paleontology course, because nobody has a good course yet. Dinosaurs seem to be the one thing that hang up everybody in the creation argument. We hear it all the time. We don't believe dinosaurs existed. That dinosaurs are evolution. Or why are you saying dinosaurs were on the ark with Noah? Or you know, dinosaurs are millions of years ago. They're prehistoric. We believe the evidence doesn't say that. And we have the best materials to teach that, right? So I just feel like we would rock a paleontology course and help prepare students for the scientific arguments that they're going to face. Okay. Let's see. I'd like to do more flip-through videos. Oh, would you be able to do more flip-through videos of middle school and high school curriculum, especially history and science options? I'm doing some future planning. Yeah, Millie, I think that that's a good idea. Season is so busy, but as we come out of this, there will be more value-added videos where we'll do walkthroughs of here's all the math curriculum, here's the heart behind the math curriculum, here's a sample of the math curriculum, etc. We used to do like January is math month, February is language month, that type of thing. So I would expect after the first of the year that you'll start to see a lot more of that coming out from here. Okay. Barbara D. Why is my story the only option for first and second grade? My son was not interested in my story, even after trying different ways of doing it. Okay, so some of that goes into the concept of the big picture and then breaking down the smaller pictures. A student understanding their world, their community, their family, the bigger parts of society, the social studies aspect of history. That's what we wanted to convey in first and second grade. Before we move into the concepts of history. I realize a lot of people want to jump into facts and figures of history. It's easy. It's more fun to do. And let's talk about, American history. Here we have the founding. Here we have a Declaration of Independence, and then a war, and then we have the Civil War. Then we have the World Wars. It's just very easy to understand, very easy to teach. But there's also more depth to history than just learning facts and figures. Those who don't learn from their history are destined to repeat it. So if you're going to learn about history, you need to learn from history. What are the lessons that we're learning? What are the worldviews of these people who have shaped society? We didn't get where we are today because people weren't intentional about getting us here. Look at the founders of education. Look at those who have proposed, starting in the 70s, to provide humanistic educational philosophies And now we're seeing these seeds that were planted in the education system and fought for vigilantly are taking root today. It's epic, right? Well, we have the same potential. And so for us, my story 1 and 2 is teaching, starting with who you are, where you fit in the world, and just, it's that understanding. It's not a memorization course. It's a conversation course. It's a awareness course. They have plenty of time to figure out state governments and national governments and all the different countries and geography. First and second grade, let's just talk about who you are in this family, who you are in the community, who are some of the people who serve our family so well in the community and why we value them. What about other communities around the world? What do children go through? What are they experiencing? So then when we begin to expand and look at the history, we have context for how we got here. If that makes sense. Okay, let's see. Christina says, should foundation phonics be done in kindergarten or is it intended for first graders? We designed foundation phonics to be done the first half of first grade, mostly because children developmentally are ready for learning at that level. If your child is developmentally advanced, then you could easily do it in kindergarten. And some people who've gone through preschool or kindergartens may say, well, my child has already learned some of this. We understand that. Doesn't mean that they were necessarily developmentally ready for all of the concepts, but if they were, you could easily do it. You could up it to kindergarten. And for some students, they may be better doing it in second grade. It all depends. Every child is unique. I've done videos on the whole brain learning and the concept of not pushing students too fast. So, okay. Geography series for younger grades, are you going to release one? Outside of the My Story 1 and 2, and there's a My Story K that's coming. That should be available hopefully in the spring. I think My Story K is coming as well. So there will be, and then there's a My Story Let's Talk Science K as well. So there will be a basic 4 kind of set for the kindergarten, but it's all done very developmentally and very low-key. Outside of the My Story and some of the geography that's discussed there, that we don't have anything specifically targeting the lower grades. Okay. Let's see, Samantha Wood says, how do you choose with science books for my first grader? I saw that there are 3 options. Let's see, my recommendation, you have the Let's Talk Science Adventures in Creation Book 1, or you would have, I would recommend God's Design for Life for beginners, to choose between those 2. And those, look at the previews. You could even print off some of the previews. See which one you enjoy, which one your child enjoys. I know we sell a lot of both, and there are families that enjoy both. The nice thing about God's Design Life for Beginners is it's part of a series. You know, it can be done with older students as well, so you can do Life for Beginners at the same time you do God's Design for Life with older students and combine it. The Adventure series, I'm about to sneeze, oh my goodness. The Adventure series is our Let's Talk Science series. We're seeing a lot of fun. We've got some science videos, Science by Delaney, that have been posted to our YouTube channel. You can see, like, there's a lot of families who've been making clouds and then doing rain. How cool is that? Like, for your kids to actually see when it's raining, now they have the mental picture of what it takes to create raindrops and how clouds get heavy with the water and then it begins to come down. There's just some cool, the experiments are just really fun and engaging. Science with Delaney videos is a great way to see what type of experiments they do. And again, that's at the Master Books. If you go YouTube, type in Master Books, ignore everybody else, but go to the Master Books one, and you'll see you'll see I'm so distracted right now. One of the things I hate about YouTube is there's this thing that people do. So they'll go, why I no longer use XYZ. And XYZ is a hot curriculum, right? So say why I no longer use Master Books. Well, Master Books is a hot keyword right now because we're one of the fastest growing curriculum companies. So then all of a sudden, because they've used that keyword, their video gets bumped up to the top, and it just drives the snot out of me. It's a great way to hijack keywords and get publicity for your website, but it bothers me when it's done because it's not, it's just a good way to get traffic. Anyways, sorry. Go to YouTube, Master Books, look at the Science with Delaney series, and what you're going to see is some really fun experiments. And I've learned a lot. When we get them, we love those videos, and I've learned a lot from it as well. So I would say just look at the samples and even look at it with your student and see which one they like the style of better, and then go with that. Okay, awesome. Thank you, Summer. Summer just put a playlist up for the video. What can I use along with my map track? Pilla asked, U.S. edition for elementary and high school level. Is that why I feel like sneezing? Yes, that was why I feel like sneezing. It was my marketing rant. So, let's see. Good question, Pilla. Map track, U.S. edition. See, I would probably use with a map track, go along with, say, America's Story, and use it there, and use that history component, and then do the map track in addition to it. So kind of do that as your geography would be what I would look at. And I think map track, the nice thing about map track is it can be used along with World Story. And so as we revise that and kind of bring it in, we're looking at ways that we can integrate a little bit, and I know we'll probably continue building on that. So, okay, well, I think I answered most of the questions. Let's see, Adriana, More Than Words 3 update. At present, it's not on the list, so I'm assuming that it's probably, it's not going to be in the spring catalog as far as I know. Master Books t-shirts, Julie asked. Yes, we have a design for it. We have a bid for it. We just have to get them done. You guys, we even posted some samples, and you guys chose the designs. So thank you for the reminder. We'll do a push on a little bit of Master Books merch is something that we wanted to get with. We weren't expecting 2020, like I'm sure your families weren't either. So it's been crazy busy, and it was all hands on deck for almost 3 months. And the way we're going into 2021 feels about the same way. So pretty exciting. I'm excited by it. Yeah, but I know it's going to be, one of those hold on to your hat years. So, but we, at this point, it's the thrill of the ride, right? Okay. Well, if I don't have any other questions, let's see. I don't think I do. Okay. Good. All right, guys. Well, we will connect again on Thursday for teaching tips, and praying that your school year is going well, that you are enjoying the journey. We've homeschooled. Delaney just asked about sale in December. I gave a wink and a nod. Keep an eye on your email boxes later this month for a coupon code. We've been homeschooling for over 20 years, and we've learned a lot. There's probably I could write a book to myself, things I wish I'd known, things that I wish I'd done better. But it's so worth the journey. And if I can say anything, it's to relax a little bit trust the Lord. His timing is perfect. You don't need to stress about all the details. They always work out. And just, we've seen the fruit. We've graduated 5. We have 4 still in school. And the 5 that we've graduated, I couldn't be prouder of. And the fact that they serve the Lord and love the Lord and are trying to do their best, it delights me. And to know that I got the privilege of walking with them on that journey is so worth it. And yeah, there are stresses. There were stressful days when we had 4 little boys under the ages of 4 and under. Those were stressful. Visits to the hospitals, ER rooms, kidney stones, all those little things that families go through. But, we go through the photos of 20, 30 years of parenting. We go through these photos and we think, that was just yesterday. Like, that just happened. These memories, that they're gone like that. 10 years ago. You just won't believe how fast 10 years goes when you get to our age and you look back and you're like, wow, I didn't savor those moments. I told my wife recently, we went out of town to visit one of my sons, and I said, I look back through all these pictures, and the saddest thing for me is that I wasn't present. I wasn't in that moment. I was somewhere else. I was worrying about how I was going to pay the mortgage or what my next job was going to be or what my next marketing campaign. I didn't stop and just savor that moment and live in that moment. And so when you see it in a picture and you know in that place that you're not even there, even though your body was there, your mind wasn't there, and I missed all these opportunities that I have. And so my encouragement to you would be, stop and enjoy the journey with your kids. They don't last forever. These stresses and these moments, it doesn't last forever. It really doesn't. But it is so worth the effort and the energy. And especially in this day and age, this is such an important time to invest in the next generation. We think oftentimes about life as it's like we crossed the finish line. That's the goal. It's not the goal. Life, I know in Scripture it says, I run the race, Yes, we are running the race so that we hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant. We run the race to win. But life is like a relay. I run my leg of the relay and I hand the baton to my children, and they run their race and they hand the baton to my grandchildren, who run the race and they hand the baton to their great-grandchildren. The advantage I give them in this race, my great-grandchildren will feel from that. And so I want to run the best possible race, but I want to be mindful the race doesn't end with me. It doesn't end with me. It ends far down the road when the Lord comes and takes his church home. Okay, guys, I went off. Sorry. Hey, you all have a great week, and we will talk to you on Thursday. And God bless you guys.